Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the incredible story of Sudanese music. It's a journey that's all about pioneers, politics, and technology, a journey that has not only shaped the sound of a nation, but also sparked a huge debate about its very soul. So, where does this all begin? Well, it starts almost 100 years ago, not with a song, but with this really chilling rumor. Picture it. It's the British colonial era, the very first recording devices are showing up, and this piece of propaganda starts to spread. The message was terrifyingly simple. This new machine will literally steal your voice.
Now, that was a powerful threat, right? It was designed to keep an entire culture silent. But really, all that fear did was set the stage for a story of some incredibly brave pioneers who decided to defy it.
And the key figure, our first hero in this story, is a man named Dimitri al-Bazar. He was a Greek Sudanese entrepreneur who started with a bookstore that became this cool hub for intellectuals. When a record company from Cairo asked him to be their agent, he saw something way bigger than just a business deal. He saw a chance to preserve his nation's unique sound. So even with those scary rumors flying around, al-Bazar managed to convince a few artists to give it a shot. And in 1928, one man, Abdullah al-Mahi, took that huge leap of faith. He went to Cairo, he recorded the first 10 Sudanese records in history, and then he came home, still able to sing. Just like that, the myth was shattered, and the floodgates for a golden age of Sudanese music were thrown wide open. Al-Mahi's incredible courage kicked off decades of massive technological change. And with every new invention, Sudanese music found its way to more and more people. You can really see the journey here. Track how the music got right into people's lives. First, it was broadcast on national radio from LPs. Then, reel-to-reel tapes made the studios way more modern. But the real game changer? That was the compact cassette in the 60s. All of a sudden, music wasn't just something on the radio anymore. It was personal. It was portable. You could take it anywhere. By the 80s, the industry was absolutely booming. A production company called Hassad invested in this state-of-the-art recording studio. I'm talking the same kind the BBC was using in London. They brought it in, ready to completely revolutionize Sudanese music. But just 1 month later, new Islamic laws were passed that banned the import of the raw materials you need to make cassettes. That incredible world-class studio, it just got put into storage, and the whole project died. So after decades of professional companies like Hassad carefully building and curating the nation's sound, another technological wave was about to hit. And this was one that no law or company could ever hope to control. The internet. That's what. And with it, you got MP3s, file sharing, social media, the whole shebang. For the Sudanese music industry, this digital storm was, well, a true double-edged sword. On one hand, the storm was just devastating. Digital piracy and how easy it was to share MP3s completely torpedoed the business model. Those production companies, including the legendary Hassad, they just couldn't make money anymore, and they vanished. Today, there's not a single major production company actively making music in Sudan. But on the other hand, that same storm blew the doors of the industry wide open. You didn't need a record label or a fancy studio anymore. A whole new generation of artists could record and release music completely on their own. In just one recent year, more than 100 new singers burst onto the scene. Now, you can probably guess what happened next. This explosion of new music, getting distributed instantly on platforms like TikTok and YouTube, it's created a massive cultural debate that has basically divided the country. At the very heart of this debate is a term you hear all the time, Gina habit. It was coined by critics, and it literally means falling or lowbrow music. It's the label they stick on this new wave of viral hits that are born and bred on social media. And this right here, this gets to the absolute core of the conflict. In the old days, to get your song on the radio, it had to be approved by this committee of experts. They judged your poetry, your melody, your performance. In the new system, the only judge is the algorithm. The gatekeepers are gone, and they've been replaced by the, let's say, chaotic democracy of likes and shares.
So you've got critics like Abu Bakr Syed Ahmed who are ringing the alarm bells. He's arguing that without that traditional quality control, what you get is chaos. He says these new artists are putting out work that just isn't true art, and that this is a real threat to Sudan's rich musical heritage.
But then you talk to the young fans, and they see it completely differently. For a university student like Samira Sharif, this is just the sound of her generation. She says they're looking for something new, and they refuse to be trapped by the artistic rules of the past. It's their music, for their time, simple as that.
So, while this intense debate is raging inside Sudan, there's another, maybe even bigger question looming over everything. Why hasn't this incredibly vibrant, unique music broken out onto the world stage?
And it's a really good question. Because musically speaking, Sudanese music should be a global contender. It's mostly based on the pentatonic scale. That's a 5-note scale that you find in music all over the world, from blues to folk to rock. It sounds familiar, it's accessible, so what's holding it back?
Well, the barriers, it turns out, are systemic. It's not really about the music itself, it's about the lack of infrastructure around the music. There's almost no state or private investment, no formal music education in schools, hardly any training centers. And here's a huge one. The music is rarely written down or notated, which makes it incredibly hard for international musicians to study it or collaborate.
So what's the path forward?
Well, many experts think the answer isn't to chase what's popular globally. Instead, it's to double down on what makes Sudanese music so unique in the first place. They point to artists from West Africa, from places like Senegal and Mali, who became global stars by embracing their traditional instruments and rhythms, not by hiding them.
And you know what? A new generation of producers is already on this path. The musician Nile, for instance, says his recent album was a very conscious effort to grab the sound of those golden age bands from the 70s and fuse it with modern production. It's about looking back in order to move forward.
And that brings us to our final thought. Right in the middle of this digital storm, this big fight over lowbrow versus highbrow art, could the key to solving Sudan's internal cultural debate and achieving global recognition actually be found in the exact same place? In its own deep, rich, and truly unique musical past.